Right, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a new video. In this video, I'm going to talk about something that's been in the local news just recently. I've just been to the hospital to visit my son. So, what has been in the news this week in relation to Brighton and Hove bus company? Well, in short, they voted to go on strike. So there is a process for strike action. First of all, they have a consultative ballot, then they have another ballot, and then they have a postal ballot, which is the official ballot. And on all of them, they voted to go on strike. What I've heard and what I've read is a company offered them 3%. Oh goodness, I don't know my way around these back streets very much, so I've come up the wrong road. Never mind. Yeah, the company offered them 3%, which they rejected, but they wanted to, in order to have that 3%, they wanted to cut the paying in time, which in itself, you know, I can see why the company want to cut that, because you get 15 minutes at the end of every duty to pay in, which back in the day before card payments you needed, and now you don't particularly need it. But what that means is if they cut that, they're either going to reduce the working week from 39 hours down to 37.45, something like that. So in effect, that would be a pay cut. Or it means they're working for longer to earn the same money. So either of those options isn't good. 3.5% is what was recorded in the Argus, the local newspaper. That would have put them on around 17.10 an hour, which, you know, sounds all right, doesn't it? 17. There's not many places that are on £17 an hour, and in itself, I would have been tempted by that personally. However, as is always the case, although the ballot and the pay talks are all to do with pay, quite often the feel of the place has quite a dramatic impact on that. And as I've stated in previous videos, the company doesn't treat its staff very well. So I suspect, I don't know because obviously I'm not there, but I do suspect that the strike action is less to do with pay and more to do with how they're treated. But yeah, the trouble is because officially it's pay, you know, and I've seen this in the comments of the articles and so on. You know, people are saying bloody hell, £17 an hour or whatever it'll be. That's really good money, you know. And then they start slating the drivers, saying they're all miserable and all the rest of it, which there are two aspects of that. One, again, the way they're treated by the company, and also passengers. Some of the passengers aren't particularly great that Brighton and Hove pick up. They give the driver all sorts of abuse and so on. Not all the time, and it's certainly not all passengers. But I once was on a CPC course that said for every one person that abuses the driver, pisses the driver off, it will take 15 people being nice to them to snap them out of that. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it sounds feasible, and it, like I say, it was on a CPC course, so who am I to question it? So there's that, but also the other aspect of it is when you're driving, just in general, you look miserable because you're concentrating. And when you're driving a large vehicle, you're concentrating a lot. And you have to keep that concentration level up. So it's I mean, to be fair, devil's advocate, there are some drivers that aren't great, that are just miserable, but they're not just miserable to the passengers. Some of them are miserable to other drivers as well, you know. And the other thing you need to remember with that is we're all human as well. We all have our own lives, and we all have stuff going on in our own lives. So, you know, there are many different factors as to why the drivers are the way they are. I was talking to my wife yesterday, actually, and she was talking about an experience she had, you know, and I said the same to her. You know, yeah, some drivers aren't that great at customer service. I'm one of them. I'm not great at customer service, because of my autism. If I'm asked a question, you'll get a factual answer back. I don't do small talk, you know, and you don't have time to have a full-blown conversation with people. You know, you do sometimes get people get on wanting a full-on chat with you, and you just can't. That's not the driver being rude, but there's just sheer practicality. And there is actually a sign on the bus saying don't talk to the driver while the bus is moving. So, yeah, like I say, there are many different factors to that. And 9 times out of 10, the people slating the drivers in the comment section or social media or news articles or whatever have never done the job. And until you've done the job, you just don't know what it's like. You really don't. There is a saying, once a bus driver, always a bus driver, because it's only when you've done bus driving that you have a full understanding of what the job actually is. But yeah, if it was 3.5%, on the basic rate, I think it works out to around, it would put them on around 17.10 an hour, something like that, maybe a bit more, which in itself isn't bad, in my opinion, of course. They are the highest paid hourly in the area. Stagecoach don't pay it, Compass don't pay it. So I can't, I mean, yeah, there are always drivers that have actually said to me they'll reject anything, you know, just for the sake of rejecting it, which I've never understood, but each to their own. But yeah, are there conditions attached to it as well? What conditions are attached to it? Like, what do the company want in exchange for that as well? See, the papers don't mention that bit. 9 times out of 10, the company wants something like the paying in time, which in real terms would actually mean a pay cut. But from what I've heard, the drivers are now holding out for 5%. That's what they've asked for. I don't think they'd get 5%, but you never know. Maybe they will. I'm assuming the company really doesn't want them to go on strike, and I know there's a lot of drivers that won't want to go on strike, can't afford to go on strike, and this is the other part of it, isn't it? Like, you've got the hardcore who, when a strike happens, they'll go on strike regardless, and they think everyone should go on strike. But there are those that aren't in the union. Yes, they're covered under employment law. So even if you're not in a union, you can still go on strike. But if you're in the union cover the loss of wages for that day to a degree. If you're not in the union, obviously they won't. So a lot of people can't afford to go on strike. The people that, because there will have been people that voted to accept it, they may not go on strike. And what that does is it creates animosity amongst the drivers. So if there is strike action, if it actually goes ahead, it's a mess. It's a real mess, and it's a mess the company could stop. I mean, I've been saying for quite a while now that Brighton and Hove is failing. Just the atmosphere around there and how they treat the staff and, you know, what they're doing, and there are so many things that suggest that the company's failing. The fact they're not putting money into the buses, fixing them when they go wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I think, obviously, with the information I have, which isn't a lot, 3.5%, it's enough to think about. I'm no big fan of going on strike. I would really struggle with it. But equally, the way the company and the drivers, or the way the drivers are being treated with by the company, I honestly think, and this is just my opinion, I honestly think it's probably more to do with that. For a long time now, many drivers have said that it's getting to breaking point, and have they just now reached that breaking point, and it's time to stand up and say to the company, I've had enough? Who knows? Who knows? I have spoken to a couple of drivers who have said that's not the case, that it is purely down to pay, which I struggle with, because when you're amongst the most highest paid in the area, and you can't take other companies into account here around the country, because every area is different. But if it is just down to the pay, I'm not so sure that that's such a good thing to go on strike for. Because over £17 an hour basic, that's not bad. It's really not bad. But equally, as I say, I'm not there, so I don't know the full story. I probably know a bit more than what the Argus has posted, but I certainly support the drivers, because I do strongly think that there's more to it than what's been reported. But how will it affect us at Compass? It will affect us at Compass and Stagecoach. So us at Compass, obviously we have little buses. We do the 52 and 47 and 16 out of where I am. The 47 and 52, they're 1 an hour. So if Brighton and Hove go on strike, we could be the only ones operating, which will be interesting, because the 47 is the only one that goes cross city and does the clock tower and Brighton station, and the 52 is the only one that does London Road. So and the hospital. Oh no, the 47 does hospital as well. So it could be a busy day. I'm actually off on the 6th. The days they've announced are the 6th and 15th of October. So what I'm hoping for is they go on strike on the 6th, on the first one. I'm off that day. That will teach the company the lesson they need to learn, and they'll sort it out, and they'll do something to stop the one on the 15th where I'm due to work. I might pop down to Conway Street to see some of the drivers. Obviously I'm not allowed on company property, but I am allowed on public property. I'm also allowed to film on public property. So we'll see how I feel on the day. And as for Stagecoach, obviously the 700s will be hammered, because they'll be the only ones going from the Old Steam Churchill Square through to Shoreham. So they'd be busy. But yeah, essentially that's all the routes that would operate. You've got, what have you got? You've got the 700 with Stagecoach. You've got the 19 that runs around Shoreham, the number 9 that goes from Shoreham through to Arundel. Like I say, 700 that goes the Old Steam through to Shoreham. Then you've got the 52 and 47, the number 16 that runs around Hangleton and Portslade, and the 37, which sort of, I'm not too sure of the 47 of the 37 route. Bristol Estates and Meadowview. I believe it does North Street and the station, and Lewis Road maybe, London Road. So yeah, I can see that one being quite busy as well. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you support the drivers, or do you think they should have accepted the 3.5%? And what do you think the strike action actually means? Do you agree with me that it's more to do with how they're treated and how the company's being towards them, more than pay, or do you think it's purely about pay? Let me know in the comments below. I'm actually back to work tomorrow, so thank you very much for watching. Please do hit the like and subscribe button, and check out the links in the description below, especially as we're coming into the winter months. There's things there that I use and will really benefit you in the rubbish weather. So that all being said, I'll see you again in the next one.